I've got a list of the 12 worst proposed laws that the California state legislature is considering passing. And we have only a few weeks to stop these bad bills from becoming law. Coming up, we'll share the list with you and tell you how you can fight back. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California, and we are entering the last few weeks of the legislative session where they deal with the state budget. And of course, that's, as we've covered in other podcasts, filled with a massive amount of red ink, a massive budget deficit. And we have to keep our eye on what's going on in the budget. But we also have to pay close attention to legislative bills that the legislators are going to cram through during this budget process. And we've got to stop these bad bills from being enacted. I have a list of the 12 most bat blank crazy laws that legislators are proposing right now to enact. And we need you to share this podcast with your friends so that they know about these 12 bad proposals and that they can contact their state legislators, both in the state assembly and the state senate, and urge them to vote no on all 12 of these bad proposals. I actually am going to cover 13. I've got a bonus proposal that's really bad. But these are the dirty dozen bad laws, crazy, bat blank crazy laws that state legislators are going to try to enact. Now, before I get into the list, I want to point out that 84% of people watching this podcast, and I appreciate everyone who watches the show. Every day at 5 o'clock, we post a new show, a new episode. But 84% of you are not subscribed to the channel. And there are two reasons why you should subscribe. Actually, three. Number one, it's free, so it doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. Number two, it helps us expand our movement because, well, YouTube will give us higher placement when we have more subscribers. And so you can help us compete with the liberal media when you click that subscribe button. And finally, don't just subscribe, click the notification button. Every day at 5 o'clock, as I mentioned, we post a new episode of Reform California. And this gives you the truth about what's really going on in California. It doesn't have the liberal taint, the bias, the spin from liberal media. But you won't know about it unless you subscribe and click that notification button. So please do that. 84% of you are not subscribed. We need more people to be sharing this show. Now, I've got a list of 12 awful, crazy bills that the liberal legislators are trying to put into law this year. And I'll give you at the end of the list how you can contact your legislator to urge them to vote no on each of these bills. The first one up, Assembly Bill 1825. I call it the Protect Inappropriate Books Law. It basically would strip public libraries of the ability to remove any bad book. So you might have bad books being put into your library, either in a school district or in your city or county, and the public gets upset about the content. And they go to their elected representatives, since we're a democracy, the people who are supposed to make decisions on our behalf. And even those elected officials would have no ability to tell the librarian, the chief librarian, to take the material out of circulation. I don't know about you, but we don't have to, as a government, support controversial or offensive content. And so this bill, AB 1825, would basically be the smut for all law in the state of California. The second bill that we're tracking that we oppose, Assembly Bill 1840. This would provide taxpayer funds to illegal immigrants so they can buy a house. Oh, I'm not joking you. There's this bat blank crazy law already in place called the California Dream for All program. It gives up to $200,000 of taxpayer funds to low income Californians who want to buy a house. Now, instead of politicians actually solving the problem of the lack of affordability in housing, they've decided just to go out and give free money away. And what does that do? Think about college loans. Think about the Biden inflation crisis. When government gooses the system by flooding it with more money, that's right, prices go up. And so this is government picking winners and losers. The California Dream for All program itself should be eliminated. We shouldn't be having government giving out $200,000 to people willy-nilly and say, oh, you're the lucky one. You've got the right skin color. You've got the right whatever. Check the box, identity politics. You get $200,000. It's absolutely not the role of government, and it actually leads to higher housing prices. Well, this Assembly Bill 1840 is even more offensive than that because it says that illegal immigrants should be able to get the $200,000. Again, we already provide free healthcare and all sorts of other goodies to illegal immigrants. It is an inducement. It is an enticement to help the human traffickers recruit people to come into this country illegally. And AB 1840 would just be another cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, which is completely offensive, and it will lead to more illegal immigration and more debt and higher housing prices. The third bill that we oppose, Assembly Bill 2216, it would force landlords to take tenants with pets. Now, hold on a second. Before you start judging me, I love pets. I love animals. I think that, there are furry members of our family. Dogs, cats, whatever floats your boat. However, I do not believe that when you are dealing with a commercial contract, a residential tenant contract, where you have a tenant and a landlord negotiating on price and amenities, that the government shouldn't tell the landlord, well, we've decided that we're going to take away your authority over your property by forcing you to take a tenant with pets. There are a lot of landlords who absolutely are fine with pets having, being brought into their units. A lot of landlords then add a pet deposit in case there's any additional damage. But there are many landlords that do not want pets, and that is their prerogative. It is their property. It is their right to not contract with a person and their pet for an apartment. Look, the reality is pets can cause great damage in rental units, and some landlords don't want the hassle. Again, it might make their unit less attractive, but that's their choice. And we shouldn't be interfering in that decision-making process because it does infringe upon private property rights. So that's Assembly Bill 2216, which we are absolutely opposed to. Coming in at number 4, and by the way, these are not in rank order. It's just we've got the dirty dozen, 12 bad bills that we want you to oppose. Assembly Bill 2319. It's the Men Can Give Birth law. Oh, yeah, that's right. This law would require hospitals to provide training for all workers, including the cafeteria worker, the front desk clerk, the nurse's assistant. All these workers in the healthcare system would have to be trained and would have to certify that they would agree that men can have babies. This is insane, absolutely insane. And if you don't do the training and if staff don't agree that this is a truth, that the healthcare company can be fined for non-compliance, administrative penalties assessed by the Department of Public Health for non-compliance. Coming in at number 5, Assembly Bill 2498. It's the illegal immigrant rental subsidies law. This would provide a grant program to provide rental subsidies for all low-income individuals, or at least select low-income individuals. They're going to do it in a pilot project in 6 counties. Again, what did I tell you about what happens when government puts money into a market for a specific type of product or service? It causes the prices to go higher, not lower, but higher. The only thing that will cause prices to go down is more supply or less demand, although the politicians are working on reducing demand by chasing good people out of the state, although they have an open border, so they're replacing those people with illegals. Anyway, under Assembly Bill 2498, The pilot project would not just be for people to get free rental assistance at taxpayer expense based on income, but it would allow people who are illegal immigrants to get the subsidy. This is absurd. By the way, they can get up to $2,000 per month. Oh, I know. Isn't this it's just insane. $2,000 for per month for the pilot. They also can get a $2,000 one-time subsidy on top of that. Okay, the sixth bill that is crazy, ACA 10, which is a constitutional amendment. So this would be an amendment to the state constitution. It's the socialized housing for all, like government-run healthcare. Socialized housing for all would add a human right to the California state constitution that says that every individual, including illegal immigrants, should be guaranteed a human right of housing. Now, notice that the Constitution does not say every citizen or every taxpayer. It just simply says every individual shall provide housing. So this helps illegal immigrants. It also means that there is a right of action that every individual can sue for if they're denied their housing. This is absolutely insane. It will open up a Pandora's box of bad policies, but it is the top priority of socialists, because if you can socialize housing, in addition to healthcare and education, all these other things, then you truly have a government-centered market, a government-centered system, which we know that leads to misery. Everyone gets to be put in the same level of poverty. That's what socialism is all about. Coming at number 7, Senate Bill 1174. This would ban voter ID laws by local government. This is all because Huntington Beach decided to enact a voter ID requirement in their city. And the state liberal politicians don't like voter ID, so they're going to ban any local government from enacting voter ID. Now, what they're not banning are some of the local governments allowing illegal immigrants to vote in school elections and local elections. A couple of our jurisdictions, San Francisco being one of them, are allowing illegal immigrants to actually vote in school board races. Senate Bill 957 is the 8th bad bill that we're covering. It's the "Who Are You Sleeping With" law. The bill requires the California State Department of Public Health to collect information from schools, third parties, healthcare providers, agencies about self-identification on various statuses, particularly who are you sleeping with. I thought the liberals were claiming that parents were trying to out their kids. I mean, I don't know what this is, but it's nobody's business. Senate Bill 957. Coming in at number 10, Senate Bill 961. It's government as your backseat driver law. This would require that all vehicles be equipped with a voice box that would tell you, "You're driving too fast." Like the nagging old lady in the back seat of your car, "You're driving too fast." Actually, it's not just the voice. It would be an alarm. It would be a visual warning, like a strobe light, I guess. All of this is distracting. It's annoying, and it's designed to make driving less enjoyable. That's why they're doing it. The original bill, by the way, required a speed reducer that the car would slam on the brakes if you went over the speed limit. It would slow you down. Your car would take over. Again, this is absurd. It's government as your backseat driver law. And it, again, is designed to make driving less enjoyable because they don't want you in your car. They want to ban cars. They want you to be in transit next to the hobo and, the criminal that wants to steal your bag. All right, number 10, ACA 7. It is the Legalized Discrimination Constitutional Amendment. You may remember that in the 1990s, Californians passed Prop 209, which banned government discrimination based upon all sorts of factors. Well, even though we banned discrimination, with Prop 209, Democrats want to legalize discrimination. They basically have ACA 7 that would allow the governor to declare that it is in the best interests of humanity and society to discriminate against one group in favor of another. In other words, affirmative action policies would be imposed, and that means that we will penalize certain people with the wrong characteristics in order to favor others who will vote for the people in power. You realize that that's what this is about, right? That's what's really at work here. That is ACA 7. Coming in at number 11, ACA 8 is is another constitutional amendment. It's the Don't Put the Prisoners to Work. See, the California Constitution, like the 13th Amendment, prohibits slavery. Of course, some of the politicians want to apologize for California's role in slavery, but we've always prohibited slavery. We were never a slave state. But the Constitution, like the U.S. Constitution, does allow for compulsory work to be imposed on someone if they are a criminal, if they've been convicted of a crime. Now, why do we do this? Well, because when they're convicted of a crime and we put them behind bars, now society has to pay for them. And we don't want to pay as much for them. So there's a couple ways that we can reduce the cost. Number one, we can have them clean out their own toilets, put them to work details. We also can have them doing work and selling materials to help subsidize the cost of their prison stay. I think it's reasonable. But people on the left say, oh my goodness, God forbid we can't have them doing work. They shouldn't be forced to do work. What are they required to do? Well, even the advocates of this are upset about, let me read this to you real quick. It's the forced labor in prisons. No, it's called Earn Your Own Keep. Okay, let's just be clear about this. It's the Earn Your Own Keep initiative. But the forced labor in prisons coalition is upset that, quote, some of the most common forms of prison labor include cleaning, doing laundry, food service, cutting hair. Oh, you got to clean your own damn room or cell. You got to help with the meal. This isn't some resort style vacation that you get to go to. I know that that's what the left wants to create in the penal system in our prisons. But that's not what society wants. Society wants to punish people and tell them that they got to learn skills to take care of themselves going forward without committing crimes. That's just common sense. So that is ACA 8, which is our 11th bill that we don't like. And the 12th bill of the Dirty Dozen is SCA 2. This is also a constitutional amendment. It's the Create More Orphan Ballots law. Now, this would allow 17-year-olds to vote in state elections. Now, most people say, well, the reason why Democrats want to have 17-year-olds voting in state elections is that young kids are liberal. That is true, but that's not why they want this for real. They know most young kids aren't going to vote, period. You know why they want to get everyone who's 17 years old to be registered as voters? It's not just because they think they'll do better with the ones that vote. They just want a bunch of those ballots floating out there. Young kids with ballots leave them on the kitchen table. Or they just, let their parents decide how things will be voted on. Or some ballot harvester funded by a left-wing group shows up and knocks at the door and takes the ballot. This is the orphan ballot movement that we've seen California politicians create by registering everyone to vote automatically, motor voter. And by lowering the age limit, it's the lower propensity voters that they're trying to get registered, not because they think, oh, wow, we're going to do well with the ones that vote. They probably will. What did Winston Churchill once say? If you're not young and liberal, you don't have a heart. If you're not old and conservative, you never developed your brain. SCA 2 is about creating orphan ballots for people who don't want to vote, the younger generation, so that the ballot harvesters have more opportunity to basically scoop them up. and somehow submit them. So we're against this, SCA 2. An honorable mention is SCA 1. It's the Protect the Politicians from Recalls law. It basically says that in a recall, the people should not be able to vote for who gets to replace the politician that they're kicking out. That if there's a recall of the governor, that the lieutenant governor would serve until the next election. Again, this is designed to protect bad politicians because you might actually have two bad politicians who both support the same policy, and that's typically what you get in a one-party state. And so the threat of, hey, we're going to hold you accountable by kicking you out, that doesn't have very much potency because the one-party supermajority will just simply say, so what? If this guy gets recalled, then the lieutenant governor gets to be automatically sworn in. Instead, I think that if people are using a recall to change direction midterm because something extraordinary is happening, because they're so unhappy with what's going on, they can't possibly wait to the next election, and that is an appropriate use of the recall, that the voters should be able to enact immediately the change of direction that they want by putting someone else in who will fix the problem that led to the recall. SCA 1 guts the effectiveness of the recall, and that's why we shove that in as an honorable mention. Look, I want you to go after all 13 of these bills. It's a baker's dozen. It's the dirty dozen, the baker's dirty dozen, 12 plus 1. And contact your politicians and urge them to vote no on every single one of these. If you go to our website, reformcalifornia.org, reformcalifornia.org, first thing, sign up because we do give you a voter guide every election, the plain English Reform California voter guide. Sign up, first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code, super simple, and we will get you the voter guide. So you know what the ballot measures are in terms of a plain English description, our recommended vote for you, as well as we rank candidates from Congress all the way to school board and water district on the basis of their commitment to common sense policies. Sign up there, contribute so that we can continue to do the work here at Reform California. And if you want to weigh in on these bad bills, then what you can do is go under voter help to find my representative. And there you can search for where you live. You can sign up for, you can put in your address and identify who your state senator is and who your state assembly member is. Those are the two people that you want to talk to about these 12 plus 1 bad bills. We'll also put a list of these bad bills on our website at reformcalifornia.org as one of our news stories so that you can share it in addition to sharing this video. Until next time, Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California. Help us break through the censorship of the liberal media. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and smash that notification button so you can stay up to date on all the developments in California news and politics. Also, please visit the website, reformcalifornia.org, for ongoing news coverage and to join one of our campaigns in the fight to take back our state. If you can, please sign up as a volunteer or chip in a contribution. This episode of Reform California with Carl DeMaio, paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly 2024.